Hello everyone, welcome back to Rent to Retirement, where we discuss all things real estate investing. Today we're going to give you a quick introduction to a new tool you can add to your real estate investing toolbox, seller financing. A quick reminder to smash the like button and subscribe below. We couldn't make any of this possible without your support. So what is seller financing? In the conventional way of buying real estate, the buyer and seller sign a purchase agreement or contract, which spells out that the buyer will pay the seller via cash or will obtain funds from a third-party lender. Upon closing of the deal, the seller receives funds for the purchase price of the home in full, minus closing costs, and the deed is transferred to the buyer. If a mortgage is used, the third-party lender then puts a lien or claim on the property until the mortgage is paid off by the buyer. In seller financing, however, the seller is acting as the lender. No third party is used. Upon closing of the purchase agreement, the ownership in the house still transfers to you. Then the seller then puts a lien on the property until you pay them off in full. This actually makes intuitive sense to most people where only a buyer and seller are involved, but because home prices have gotten so high, mortgages from banks and other third-party lenders have become commonplace, so the seller can leave the transaction upon closing with cash in hand. The caveat to seller financing is that the seller of real estate must own the property outright, meaning the seller may not owe a lender anything on the house if they wish to seller finance the property to you. So why would a seller want to use seller financing? It makes sense for a buyer, of course, because they don't have to come up with a large amount of cash, which is usually 10 or 20% for a down payment up front, like a bank or traditional lender may require. Seller financing often occurs with low or no money down from the buyer. In the seller's case, they can get a higher purchase price for their home. To offset the higher down payment normally required, a seller can sell the house for a larger amount than the market may give them and then amortize the higher amount into the seller financed loan. The seller is also acting as the lender, so they receive the interest on the loan that they are making to you, as opposed to paying the interest to a third-party lender. So because this is a loan between the seller and the buyer, what terms do you need to figure out in order to seller finance? Number one is the down payment. You'll need to discuss with the seller how much money they'll require up front to purchase the property. Some sellers will want 10% down, some may not require any money up front at all, but this means your monthly payment will be higher. Number two is the interest rate. You'll want to discuss what interest rate the seller would like to receive on the loan they are making to you. Third, you'll want to discuss the loan due date. How long until the seller expects to receive the full amount for their property? Is it 2 years, 5 years, maybe even 10 years? But this is often going to depend on the seller's age and financial goals. To make things much smoother and make sure your seller financing agreement is agreeable to both parties, you may want to have a real estate professional or attorney write up a contract between both parties. Before we wrap up, let me address the stigma around seller financing and other unconventional ways of selling and buying real estate. Yes, house flippers and ultra-savvy investors use seller financing to structure their deals, and yes, seller financing can turn out ugly if you're not smart about it, but seller financing is a completely legitimate way to buy and sell real estate if you do it smart, have contracts in place, and obey the terms of the deal. Just like conventional financing, if you don't make your payments or don't obey the terms of the loan, something bad is going to happen. That should be no surprise in either seller financing or traditional financing. Real estate developer Akira Mori said, "In my experience in the real estate business, past success stories are generally not applicable to new situations. We must continually reinvent ourselves, responding to changing times with innovative new business models." In a competitive real estate market today, seller financing could be your ticket to a great deal. Thanks for watching this week's video on seller financing. If you want more info on real estate purchasing strategies, set up a call with one of our investment counselors here at Rent to Retirement, and we'll help you discover the most optimal way to acquire real estate and scale your portfolio that best fits your goals. I'll see you next week.